There you go. At least I'm consistent.
We good to go?
We are now recording. We are live. Over to you, Tabby.
Beautiful. Thank you, Katrina. And welcome back, everybody, to the third webinar of the three-part series. So this evening, we are going to be talking about self-care, well-being, and making an impact. As we go along, as Katrina mentioned, if you've got any comments or questions, pop them in the chat box and we'll come to them when we can. And also, as I'm starting to talk, if you could pop some comments in the chat box about how you've gone with your homework over the last week as well. So tonight's topic, we're going to be looking at the self-care aspect, as in if you're looking after yourself, you can more effectively run a business and make a difference. The well-being aspect of this evening is that concept that if you're glowing and happy and healthy, other people want to know what the secret is. And the third part of making an impact, we're going to be looking at how to create a community, why you'd actually want to do that, and how you can use your innate skills and values to help other people help themselves and to help their broader community as well. So we shall have a look first up at your homework from last week. So there was 3 things to do. One was to start to prioritize your daily to-do list using the ABCDE method. The second was to finish off your average ideal week. And the third, was to continue saying your affirmation as well. So if anybody has some comments or how they did or didn't go with this, pop it in the chat box and we'll quickly address that before we move on to this evening's topics. Beautiful. So we're going to move straight into the first topic, which is on self-care. And I'd like to start with a fabulous quote from an American author called Eleanor Brown. So you'll see it up on screen and it says, "Self-care is not selfish. You cannot serve from an empty vessel." And I think that's something that is so spot on and tempting to do the complete reverse. I know that it's very tempting for me personally to give and give and give and not really stop, but that doesn't really help anybody. So we want to be quite cognizant of the fact that we need to fill our cup first, and once we've done that, then we can start to help those around us as well. So we're going to start off this evening's coaching call with doing something called a self-care plan. So make sure you've got your pen and your paper there ready. And we're going to move into that in just a moment. So something to consider is what's the point of self-care? We want to do it so if we take care of ourselves, we have enough energy to do the things that we love, including running a business and taking care of those people around us as well. So, you know, if you've flown recently, they still have the exact same blurb they've had forever about the oxygen masks dropping, of saying when the oxygen masks drop, put your own mask on first and assist others and children afterwards. And I think that's such a fabulous analogy of and a reminder to say we actually need to look after ourselves first. Once we're sorted and settled, then we can give back to those around us. And self-care is different for everybody as well. So we're going to have a look at what nurturing each of you individually looks like, because feeling fabulous and nurturing myself and giving myself the time is probably going to look different to how it will look for Rebecca or for Meredith, for example. So we're going to have a look at what nurturing myself means in both a physical capacity and an emotional capacity. And once we're doing these things, we can be our best selves in our businesses as well. So I've got some examples, and as I'm doing it, I want you to start your self-care plan with some bullet points. So on your piece of paper, literally write what's on the screen. Nurturing myself means one column for physical and one column for emotional. And we can see some examples in the physical side, which might be going to a yoga class 3 times a week, or doing a yoga DVD a couple of times a week, having a lavender bath weekly. Oh, heaven. Cleansing my face before bed every day. Now, for me personally, it's very tempting to skip that part. And I know that's not an ideal thing to do for skin. So tempting regardless. So when we actually put it as part of our self-care plan, it's an additional accountability tool to make sure that we're sticking to doing all of these things which are really important to us. And another example is green smoothies every morning. So I'd love to see some examples of what nurturing yourself means on your self-care plan, and pop them in the chat box. Beautiful. So we'll have a look at some examples from the emotional perspective. Now, this is one that I really struggled with for many years, which was leaving the house with plenty of time. As we alluded to in last week's topic about being disorganized, running late is a hideous feeling. Everybody understands what that feels like. And for me, if I'm nurturing myself, it means that I'm giving myself enough time to not have to fumble with the keys, with jamming a water bottle in my bag, racing through orange lights. That to me does not feel good. So it can be as simple as things like that. Another example is to be in bed before 10 p.m. I used to, for a really long time, I would set an alarm to go off on my phone at 10 p.m. and it said, Tammy, get into bed. And then I'd set another one that went off every night for 11 p.m. that said, Tammy, turn out the light. So sometimes we need the additional tools around us to help keep us accountable for these as well. And then the last example is to see friends regularly. For those of you who are in rural locations as well, this is particularly important to make sure that you're maintaining your community. This might mean Skype instead of having a coffee catch up, for example. So we've got some examples that have come through. Oh, a raindrop massage every month. That sounds heaven. Going to yoga. From Candice, drinking water every hour throughout the day. There's some fabulous apps for your phone that remind you to drink your water on the hour every hour, which is fabulous. Jala says massage. Ace, I totally agree. Rebecca, having a sleep. Making sure that you're eating well as well. We didn't precisely touch on that there, but ensuring that we are fueling our body with fabulous whole foods that make this particular body, your particular body, feel fabulous is really important. And a few more comments about sleep as well. I'm getting the vibe that there's a few dramas with sleep here. So I'd love to give you a suggestion that I have used. Now, pause me if I mentioned this on one of the 2 other webinars, but the concept of a worry journal. For a lot of people who struggle to fall asleep at night, it's often because their head is going overkill. Basically, they're going through everything that happened in the day, the things that are coming up, stressing about the future. And so something that you can do is have a blank journal. If you're struggling with sleep, set an alarm for 10 minutes from where you're at and say, I'm so worried about, and then bullet point everything that's on your mind. So I'm so worried that I paid the electricity bill late, that I said that thing to that person yesterday and I feel like an idiot. My partner and I are having problems. We can't find a new rental. These kinds of things. So it doesn't matter how large they are and profound versus tiny itsy bitsy things. Pop them down there anyway. Then when the alarm goes off, you're done. You're done with worrying. So that could be something for your self-care plan for some of you as well, is utilizing a worry journal when you need it. Beautiful. So Jenny has a fabulous example saying only organic food for her, no allergens, and regular body work like a chiro. So for me, I run a life coaching practice and I understand the importance of having a team. You know, I saw my chiropractor / kinesiologist today. You know, I have these people around me because none of us can do it on our own. So I think that's a fabulous example and reminder from Jenny that we need to utilize the teams that we have around us. You know, I had a coach for many years as well to help me be a better coach. So funny, they always say psychologists need psychologists, and isn't it true? Beautiful. So I think you've all got the idea of what this self-care plan looks like. I want you to, for homework, complete your self-care plan and make it so each week these are the things I do, or each month these are the things that I do in the physical aspect and the emotional aspect. Physically write it down and then pin it up somewhere, or, you know, keep it in your compendium or in your planner. So it's a regular reminder to take those multivitamins, or to reconnect with nature, like Louise says, or to drink enough water during the day. Beautiful. Remember, if you've got any questions, to pop them in the chat box as well. Beautiful. Okie dokie. And so we're going to move on into well-being. So that stunning model there is a picture of me. My best friend took that photo when we were in the Norwegian, very remote town of Flum, very unfortunately titled, but Flum. And we went kayaking on that beautiful lake there. It was freezing cold, like a glacier, because it was literally dripping off the glacier. However, I digress. So we're looking at well-being, and the definition is there, which says that well-being is the state of being comfortable, healthy, or happy. Simple. So easy, walk in the park. So we want to have a look, a greater look into the world of well-being. So firstly, we want to have a look at how do we actually get to this state of comfort, health, and happiness. Is what we just did, which is the self-care plan. So you're already a step along, but I've popped some extras in here too. So let's have a look at increasing your well-being. Remember that there is many, many, many ways to do this, but these are some of them. So the first one is to acknowledge responsibility for your well-being, in that this is your job. You know, it's not your parents' job. It's not, if you've got a partner, their job. It's not the person who works above you's job. It's actually your job to really take accountability for your well-being, your health, and your happiness. And once you get to that point, if you're not already there, it's much easier to take action, because it's your choice. You're choosing what the actions are to be able to take the next step in feeling more in control, more comfortable, and happier as well. The next one, which is my favorite, which is to practice gratitude daily. Now, I don't know, does anybody here online have a gratitude journal that they currently use? Oh, a yes, yes, yes from Rebecca. Me too. I hear you, sister. Now, this is one of the absolute fastest ways to increase your well-being. When we are practicing gratitude daily, it increases our general health by 25%. It increases our happiness by 25%. It increases our mental toughness and resilience by 25%. So all of these are masses amount of increase. So what I'd be recommending is to utilize a gratitude journal. We actually want to be physically writing it down, not purely thinking about it in your head. Ideally, writing it down 3 things every night that you're grateful for. And here's the trick. We never want to say the same thing twice. Yes, so that can be a bit of a halting moment for many. So we never want to say the same thing twice. And the reason for that is it's easy to fall into the trap of laziness. So I work with lots of women, and often when I'm working with mums and I'll bring in a gratitude journal to me, it'll say, I'm so grateful for my kids. Next day, my kids. Next day, my kids, etc., etc., etc. I don't doubt their kids aren't fabulous. However, we want to get more to that and really be pushing this further and further in our brain to be able to seek out the positivity in every scenario. So what we might be doing instead is saying, I'm so grateful that Sal jumped into bed this morning when it was raining and we snuggled in. You know, the next day might be, I'm so grateful that did his best in the cross-country carnival today. It's still actually about the themes, which is great, but we're getting more specific as well. Okie dokie. So we've got a few examples here from Candace. How lovely. Mike and I start our drive to school with an attitude of gratitude where we each take turns listing what we're grateful for each day. Beautiful. Really great example, Candace. And for those who are already doing this, please use this as a reminder that you're doing a fabulous job. I don't think we get recognition enough that we're doing a great job. So keep doing what you're doing for those who are already doing this. The next one is to give yourself permission to have fun. So I found this slightly unnerving statistic last week that says kids laugh about 200 times a day and adults laugh an average of 15 times a day. Not ideal. So we want to be upping that number. So giving yourself permission to be silly, be playful, have fun, enjoy the silliness of each day. So the next one is to declutter. Declutter that fabulous home of yours. We touched on this last week. A really terrific book is The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying by Marie Kondo. I recommend that to a lot of people. So have a look at that one if this is one for you. The next one, as several of you alluded to before, is to get enough sleep. It's a non-negotiable. It's actually a non-negotiable. You know, there's a reason why it's used as torture. Sleep deprivation, it's no good for anybody. So if you can manage your day in a way where you can get enough sleep, 7 to 9 hours sleep is what the average person needs, then make sure you're doing that as well. The next one is to meditate. How lovely. If any of you have any questions about meditation or things that hold you back from meditation, pop them in the chat box now, and I'd love to address those straight away. So if there's anything like it's tricky to sit still, you know, only hippies meditate, anything like that, pop that in the chat box and I'll have a chat about those ones as well. The way that I look at meditating is it doesn't matter which type you're doing. You know, if you are coloring in as a meditation, great. If you are using a meditation app on your phone, fabulous, you know, really good. The way that I look at it is that they're all different flavors of ice cream. There's all ice cream, so it's all good. Doesn't matter which type you're having. So it's like if you go to a hairdresser. If you have one bad haircut, it doesn't mean that you stop getting a haircut for life. You simply change hairdressers. So we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We want to try something different. So there's a comment here that's from Meredith saying that sometimes she has a bit of a block in meditation and would love to know some different ways. So one way for those in particular that struggle to sit still, which is many people, it's not just you, is to do a walking meditation. So that's where you walk in generally a circle, and the circle might be a diameter of 5 meters. It actually doesn't need to be big at all. You can do it in your backyard if you've got one. If you live in the city like me, it would be my lounge room. And you walk with a methodic pace, and you'd say 1 or 2 words on each pace. So remembering that the idea is not for the exercise, it's not to increase your heart rate, it is to calm the mind and release some of that pressure from the brain. So a word that you might say is calm. You know, on each pace you say calm, calm, calm. You know, or when you're breathing in, you might say in, out. And you can say that in your head, that's okay as well. Or for those who have a more spiritual bent, you might say a mantra. I often say one that is Om Namo Narayani, and that means I surrender to the divine. So it's out of my hands and it's over to you. So it's non-religious, but it's a nice thing to say if you want to do something like that. Beautiful. So there's another question here saying, do you think just sitting in stillness, looking over one's vision board would be classed as a form of meditation? Yes, I do. When we look at meditation, it is all about bringing your focus onto one thing, one area. So often it would be bringing your focus to your breathing, but bringing your focus to your vision board is a fabulous one. So one way that you can do it with a vision board is to every day for 60 seconds, and you literally time it on your watch or on your phone, is you look at a different item on your vision board each day for 60 seconds. So it might be a picture of a diamond for a diamond seller status with Young Living. And so for 60 seconds that day, all you are doing is looking at that diamond, and you let any thoughts that come into your mind while you're looking at that diamond come towards the middle of your head. You notice them, acknowledge them, and then let them flick off behind. So the thoughts come towards the middle, notice, how interesting, then let them flick off behind. So absolutely, that is a form of meditation. Great, okay. There's a fabulous suggestion here from Jenny to say that there's a labyrinth in Centennial Park in Sydney, and it's a great place to do a walking meditation actually in nature. Yes, absolutely. Fabulous. Really good. If any of you get stuck with meditation, generally the easiest entrance into meditation is to do a guided one. So download one from the internet, buy a CD, get an app. A good app is Headspace. It's a nice mindfulness, body awareness style meditation, which goes for 10 minutes. Or the other one that I recommend with a mantra style is called One Giant Mind, which is the number 1 giant mind. So there's some suggestions for you too. Brilliant. So the next way of increasing your well-being is to acknowledge your emotions. The number of sticky situations because we haven't acknowledged how we're feeling about a scenario is phenomenal. It's what I spend most of the time with my clients doing each day. In fact, that's what I spent most of today doing. So I'd love to teach you a little technique that I personally use and do with my clients as well to be able to acknowledge those. It's called acknowledgement statement, carefully and craftily titled by myself. And it's got 3 parts to it. So we'd use this in a scenario where things are going slightly awry, or any scenario when we need to refocus our energy and our attention. So I'll give you an example in a moment, but I'd love you to write down these 3 lines so you've got them for later. So the first line is, what I would like to say is ... The next one is, the emotions associated with this are. And then the last one is, but I'm willing to put it to the side so I can focus on. Cool. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you're off to do a business meeting. You might be a little bit apprehensive and nervous about it. So you get there early, might be in a coffee shop, for example, and you're wearing white, as I am now, some white linen. And so you get there a little bit earlier and you think, you know what, I'll get coffee before they get here. And so you get your coffee standing on a street corner, and then somebody runs into you and spills said coffee all over your lovely white linen. Panic stations. So this is when you would use the acknowledgement statement. So you would say in your head, what I would like to say is, I'm about to go to a meeting that's really important that I'm feeling quite apprehensive about. I am wearing white and it's all over me. The emotion associated with this is embarrassment, nervousness, worry, slight amusement. But I'm willing to put this to the side so I can focus on keeping my cool and being the best business person I can be during this meeting. Big deep breath in, let it go. Yeah, so make sure you write down those 3 lines. Now, no matter how big or small scenario is, you can use this statement. If you've got any examples of when you could an uncomfortable example of when I used this statement that I'd like to share with you is that last year I was in between clients in my office, and I quickly popped onto Facebook and I noticed a really very, very sad thing, that somebody I did my yoga teacher training with had committed suicide. I was devastated, but I had a client in the waiting room and the receptionist called to say that she was there. So regardless of the scenario, we can still use this. You know, what I would like to say is, the emotions associated with this are, but I'm willing to decide so I can focus on being an excellent coach, being there for the person that's in front of me, and completely focusing, letting it go and breathing, you know. So feel free to use this statement whenever you need it. If you need to write it on a small piece of paper and put it in a wallet, and use it whenever you need it. It doesn't also have to be just dire circumstances like that example. It can be great things. You know, you might have gotten engaged in the morning and then you have to drive a car and your energy is all over the shop and you need to be able to focus to drive that car safely. So it doesn't matter positive or negative, you can use this statement regardless. So any questions about that, pop it in the box as well. Beautiful. Okay, so we're going to move on to the last topic of the evening, which is on making an impact. So we're looking at this, as I alluded to before, from the perspective of building a community and making an impact on their lives and then the people's lives surrounding them as well. The current buzzword for this is tribe. You may have heard it around the traps, but the idea of building a tribe and then loving them hard, which is a funny way to put it. So there is a great quote, which I'll pop up on the screen, by Seth Godin. So he is marketeer extraordinaire, and he says, a tribe is a group of people connected to one another, connected to a leader, and connected to an idea. For millions of years, human beings have been part of one tribe or another. A group needs only two things to be a tribe: a shared interest and a way to communicate. Isn't that fabulous? It comes from his book called Tribes, for those interested. So when we look at it from your business perspective, I want you to start to think about what is the shared interest that you currently have in a tribe that you've already created, or the shared interest in a tribe that you can start building for the entrepreneurs in the young living entrepreneurs in the group. The shared interests we spoke about a couple of weeks ago might be things like living a chemical-free life. Great. Making sure that both humans and animals are healthy and happy. That might be the shared interest. So have a think about what that is for you if you already feel like you're part of that tribe. And then secondly, we want to have a look at the way to communicate. So the Young Living Entrepreneurs group, for example, there's a Facebook group. Easy. You might want to start there. Facebook groups are pretty good for this sort of thing. It could be a weekly coffee catch up in, the town coffee house. Great. So we need those two things: the shared interest and a way to communicate. Beautiful. So I'd love to hear some examples of what the shared interest is amongst the tribes that you already have going on related to Young Living. So for those who are our silvers and golds, you certainly have a tribe happening. So tell me some of the themes that are going on within your circles. I'd love to hear those. And then we can build on those shared interests as well. It might start off with feeling happier. Then the next part of that interest is to build on feeling healthier. And then it might evolve to feeling, to eating a vegan diet, for example, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Yeah, great. So fabulous example. The shared interest from Louise's part of the world is the spiritual aspects of essential oils and ancient remedies. Now, that for me is something that would speak to me and help pull me into a tribe, because I practice a lot of the spiritual practices. I'm very interested in the chakras. What are the things that can, open a blocked throat chakra, for example? What can expand and open a heart chakra? So it's the kind of thing that works as a hook for the people surrounding you. Brilliant example. Meredith has optimal health with Young Living oils. Beautiful. Another way to communicate, the Facebook group page. Another wonderful example from Jenny, the shared interests are spirituality, transformational change, quantum and or vibrational healing, resonance-based modalities like resonance repatterning. Fabulous. Really cool. As I spoke about either last time or the time before, I said the way that I look at things is that I like to find people who are weird in the same way that I'm weird. So chakras for other people in the world can be weird. To me, totally normal. So I want to find people that care about those things too. And that's how we form the basis of our tribes or our communities. Jenny's got a fabulous example of her shared interest is healthy families. Great. Really, really cool. So think about what it is that those shared interests could then help to build your community and your tribe as well. And then secondly, the ways to communicate, like the Facebook pages, etc. Parent teacher nights, there are other ways as well. Really cool. So when we are building these tribes and communities, a lot of you will form leadership roles if you're not already in them. And we want to be serving from an authentic leadership perspective. So I've got a fabulous quote in front of me that says, "A leader is not judged so much by how well he or she leads, but by how well he or she serves." So it's this concept that no amount of traditional motivation, so the carrot dangling or the stick whacking behind, will ever be able to trump the effect that you have on those people around you when you engage with them from a place of genuine service. So there are a lot of people on this webinar who come from a spiritual perspective. So if we look at it from the yogic background, they always talk about the concept of karma yoga. So that is serving those around us, serving the people that live within our community or that care about the things that we care about. So look at your business and think, how can I boost the karma yoga? How can I boost the service without giving my power away, which is the key part as well. Really good. I would love to give an example of when I worked in the corporate world. I worked in a really very, very busy role. I worked very long hours and I worked for a director of the business. And it would have been very easy, and let me tell you, it was very tempting to leave because of the large hours. However, the HR director that I worked for in this particular role cared about me genuinely. I went through a period of strange health things, and she did research to figure out how I could help improve that. You know, she really looked after my health, my mental well-being, and cared about it. Now, so I was working absolutely outrageous hours, and as was she. But the fact that she cared to serve me personally, in addition to what I was doing as a job there, meant that I stayed, essentially. So in that case, I ended up staying within the business for her, and secondly for what the business was that I work for. So this will be the case for a lot of you. So for those who have several tiers beneath you, or a couple of people that that float in underneath you, think about how you can help them on a personal level if that feels okay for you, because the reason that people often join a direct selling company or any company is because they have a connection with the initial person that told them about the products or the services. So you're the hook there, and make sure that you're maintaining that as time goes on as well. So building on that relationship, caring about the people who work for you, and by default, the business starts to build itself. Yes, there's other things to do in addition to that, but that is a very key building block, and hopefully a reminder that many of you already knew already as well. So I want to have a chat about some things to remember about building and sustaining a tribe as well. So remember that community is a give and take. So make sure that all sides are contributing, that the people who are working underneath you are contributing, that you're building in as well, and everybody's feeling like they're getting something out of it. It's like a relationship. If somebody's doing all the giving and somebody's doing all the taking, it just doesn't work, and sooner or later it finds its course. Remember to collaborate with others that can contribute, that care about that common interest that we just spoke about. So those people who care about healthy families or resonance repatterning, as your examples were, and make a commitment. Remember that building these sorts of communities around you so you can make an impact take time. And it is your persistence that will be key in maintaining this as well. There are going to be days where you would rather do something else. That's for sure. However, it's important to remember that end goal of what you would like to make the impact in the world, and how you're going to do that through using Young Living and through using their amazing products as well, and their information. And also to remember to have fun doing it. There's no point in doing all of this unless it makes your heart sing and your soul want to jump up and down. If it's not doing that the majority of the time, we need to relook at the way that you're structuring your days, structuring your business, or how you're viewing the business as well. Yeah, some comments about how important it is to build those relationships with people. I was chatting with a friend this morning actually about the concept of networking events, and how for the vast majority of people, they turn them off. You know, they feel a little bit, oh, you know, I don't want to get there and everybody's handing out their business cards and it's all a bit too intense, because that's taking out the authenticity and the genuine nature of the relationship. So we want to remember that we're connecting person to person about things we both care about, not shoving a business card in their face and hoping that it will take. Really cool. Okay. Oh, fabulous comment here by Dewey, I hope I've pronounced your name correctly, that says this business is not so much on return on investment, but more on return on relationships. Absolutely, and a fabulous reminder for everybody, including myself. Thank you very much. Really, really cool. There is a YouTube video that I was going to play, but it wasn't working. So I am going to describe what was happening in that really briefly. Some of you may have seen it before. It's called Leadership Lessons from a Crazy Dancing Guy. And what we see in this particular video is it's at a music festival, everybody's sitting on the grass, and then there is one guy that starts doing some completely wacko dance moves and everybody's looking at him. He continues on, and then after about 30 seconds or so, somebody actually joins him in these really wacko dance moves. And then after some time, 3 more people join, and then a whole group of people join. And the reason why we look at this video, it's kind of funny, but also the reason that we do it is because it reminds us that there is an initial leader, but it's actually that second person that joins that shows that that initial person is not a lone nut. It transforms them into something that people want to join. So for those who have well-established businesses that are listening, remember to be recognizing that second person, or the first person that joined you, who was the second follower, and engaging with them and embracing them and demonstrating that it is safe to join what you're doing. And then as those additional people come in, we want to be embracing them with arms wide open and making them feel safe as well. With the vast majority of things within the direct selling world, and certainly within something that has some spiritual connotations, health connotations like essential oils, we want to be making the people that are potentially joining us feel safe. That is absolutely key. If you don't feel safe, you don't sign anything, you don't ask for more information, you don't go and chat to somebody. So think about the ways that you can make these prospective customers or people who are also going to sell Young Living feel safe. So that is something for you to ponder over the course of the next week. How can I help the people who work with me, for me, above me or potentially for me feel safer? How can I make my customers feel safer? Like, there's no silly questions at all. So something to consider. Something to consider. Awesome. So are there any questions so far? I'd love to see any more pop up in the box. Any other questions about meditation, about self-care?
Hey, Tammy.
Yes.
Back near the beginning, Meredith did answer about the homework. I don't know if you want to scroll to it.
Oh, I missed that. Sorry,
Yeah.
Meredith.
It's a good question. You might be able to help out with that.
Yeah, okay, cool. So the question from Meredith relating to last week's homework was relating to the to-do lists that I recommended that you all do. And she said, I love the A to E list, which, as a reminder, was the priority rankings, but I found it confronting when numbering them, especially my frogs. Cool. I do hear this from people time to time. So great that you gave it a go. That's the first thing, and we want to be doing this every single day. The first few times when people are doing this particular process, it can be confronting. So it's certainly not just Meredith. I'm sure there were others on the that found that as well. For anybody who is attempting to do this with a bit of a perfectionistic slant on it, and that's not necessarily Meredith, but I see this all the time, where they're attempting to make this list and this process perfect. It can be a bit stultifying, and it can lengthen the process as well. So I would recommend putting a time limit on how long you're going to not only write the to-do list, but use the A, B, C, D, E method as well. So say that might be 15 minutes. For others, that might be half an hour. And having that time in the background can assist in some ways. However, what you can use is the confronting feeling to your benefit. So the task on your list that feels the most confronting, that's your biggest frog. That's generally the way that I look at it as well. Has that helped Katrina and Meredith? Yes, thank you. Brilliant. Were there any more, Katrina, that I missed?
No, that was just the one at the top. I don't know if anyone else wants to comment on really any of the homework. I think also maybe one to reflect back on is the oh my goodness, it's gone from my head. We had to repeat it 30 times.
The affirmation. I love and accept myself.
I was going to say acknowledgement. I was thinking, no, it's not an acknowledgement. So I mean, that also can be quite confronting. So just wondered if anyone had been able to do that every day, or had once a week, or what were the challenges around that?
And that is often one that I alluded to before that is quite confronting, particularly the mirror-based affirmations that people are doing as well. That can make people feel very irky and icky.
I think, yeah, Louise, that was exactly what I was going to say, remembering to say it, but I was thinking about your alarm scenario. So could be maybe setting an alarm, because I thought that when I was driving in the car today, I was like, oh, actually, I don't think I remembered to say that. I know I didn't remember to say it.
So 2 different ways that you can do it. If you're using technology, there is, for Android users, there's a great free app called the Mindfulness Bell. There is an equivalent of that on iPhone as well, and you can say, I want my bell to go off between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Roughly every 2 hours. And each time the bell comes up on your phone, that can be your prompt to say your affirmation. So that's one option. The other is to get 5 stickers, and I think I said this at the time, but to put a sticker on the frame of your bedroom door, your laptop, the back of your phone, the fridge, and one other place that you choose. And every time you see that specific sticker, it's your prompter to say your affirmation. So that can help.
I'm kind of also thinking back to the first one where we talked about vulnerability, and I'm just maybe going to challenge vulnerability right now and ask someone who's not commented throughout this call to maybe pop in one of the challenges they've had, or something that they've loved from this. We don't want to list a challenge, but something that you've got from today or in the past. You know, there's several of you there if you want to practice vulnerability, and just pop in some thoughts around takeaways, what you're going to work with, and just sharing those as well. And again, they can be just to the panelists or to everyone. And while you're busy typing in there and taking a breath and going through the emotion of doing that, you can acknowledge that that is stressful, get the emotion, and then put it to the side and do it anyway, as we just
Go, Katrina.
as we did today. Someone's mentioned, where can I get the replays of the past webinars? Well, depending on whether you're on the WILE Entrepreneurs page, they are posted on there. So if you scroll down through there, you'll find them. If you're on the Silvers page, they're put up on there. And next week, they'll go into the BO as well. So, but you can get them through the WILE Entrepreneurs page.
Brilliant. And there's a great option for others that Meredith has popped there, saying that her and Jenny texted each other every now and then throughout the week, affirmation with an exclamation mark, to remind each other to say it. So I think that's fabulous. And that is, in coachy language, a practical example of an accountability partner. It's a very fancy way of saying we tell each other to do the things we're meant to do. So if any of these things are a struggle for any of you to remember, or to stay motivated, or you're getting stuck with some of the particulars, buddy up with somebody. You know, they might have a YL business as well, or they might have a separate business, and you can actually complement each other in reminding each other to do these kinds of activities, or stick with your to-do list prioritization, these sorts of things, and it helps. Cool. So let's have a look at some of the homework from today onwards. And as a reminder, it is to finalize your self-care plan and to stick with it and stick it up. Another one is to take one step to help build or extend your Young Living tribe. So I'd love to hear some examples about what you're actually going to do as that one step. And then the third one is to continue to say that athlete. The way you know you can say the affirmation is when it feels so obvious. You think, oh yeah, that's the case. And when it has any emotional charge to it at all, that's when you can stop saying your affirmation. For some, that might be a few months, but for most, it actually might be a few years. So see how you go with that one as well. Brilliant. So a reminder to stay in touch as well. I know that some of the things we've chatted about over the course of these 3 webinars have brought up some vulnerabilities and been confronting for some of you as well. And if it's feeling a bit yucky or icky, or you're just purely curious and intrigued by it, to stay in touch as well. Don't do this on your own. If you've got those fabulous accountability partners surrounding you, chat with them. You know, if you feel that you're holding any tension or nervousness or stress about progressing with your business, see your chiropractor. You know, if you need to talk about it and feel more motivated, see a coach. So my details are up on there, and our business's details are up on there. So don't be a stranger. I definitely want to hear how you're going with your big, bold moves, how you're going with your to-do lists, and how you're motivating each other, and how your businesses are growing, and how you're owning the fact that you own a business as well. So there's been one more comment here from Jenny that says she teaches people that having an an accountability partner is outsourcing your willpower. So it gives you more energy for other things, which is a nice reminder too. So if there's no more questions so far, Katrina?
No, I think that's what we've covered everything.
Beautiful. So a big thank you to everybody who has listened, in particular to all 3 of these webinars as well, because the very fact that you showed up online is a really big deal. You know, it sends an amazing message to your soul, to your partners, to your kids, to the people around you that you're worth investing in, because you are. So the fact that you set aside time to sit down in front of a computer with your pen and paper is a really big deal. So I hope that you're proud of yourself. Give yourself a bit of a pat on the back that you're investing in yourself, and I'm really grateful that you've logged on as well. So thank you, thank you, thank you, and to the amazing Young Living and to Katrina as well. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I think there'll be a few thank yous coming up in a second, but also, you know, would encourage you, and I know some of you already have, is to take what you've learned and share it with someone else, because that's the best way to embed learning, is to hear it, I take it on board, and then share it with someone else. So you've all got someone in your downline, or maybe a family member, or a close friend, or a, you know, sisters, or whoever. Just, you know, share something that you've learned with someone else, and that will support you in locking that in and keeping you on track as well. So we've got lots of thank yous here. So it's been our pleasure to present this series, and we look forward to, as we go through the year, to come up with some different and interesting ways to really help you to build your business, but also to help you share with others so that they can experience that opportunity as well. So thank you, Tammy. We'll stay in touch via the YL Entrepreneurs page. Thank you, everyone else. Please share your learnings on there. Feel free to pop your homework in there. You know, that's a great way to be accountable on that page as well. And then we can all Yahoo and champion you. So thank you all. Thank you, Tammy. And we'll see you all again soon. Take care now. Bye.